Hi, how are you guys? Welcome to our third episode of Freedom of Speech. So in the last two episodes, we tackled the stigma that has been going on in society in terms of gender-based violence and the LGBTQI community. Today we decided to continue with focusing on stigma-related crises in South Africa. So today's topic is a very sensitive one to most people, but it will give most people an insight of how South Africans and foreign nationals perceive this issue. So today we'll be focusing more on xenophobia.
Hey guys, today I'll be going into the topic. However, today's panel will consist of foreign nationals and South Africans to get a mixed view on how this topic is affecting us emotionally, financially, and socially. Looking at how, if you relate to the past topics, they've been attacks of prejudice. Hope you guys enjoy the show and let's meet the panel.
My name is Richard Subila. I'm coming from Congo, DRC.
My name is Manis Gladila. I'm from Cape Town.
My name is Dumisani Balin. I'm from Eastern Cape, State Spring.
My name is Ilunga Kabomo Sam. I'm from Johannesburg, but I'm Congolese.
I'm Kamala Mutando, and I'm from the east side of Jozi, and I'm a poet by the name of Andy Benimo.
My name is Benjamin Bengo. I'm from Kinshasa, from the DR Congo.
My name is Shekina Lusa. I'm from Johannesburg.
My name is Millennium. I'm from the Val in Gauteng.
My name is Exosei Muzita Maleva, originally from DRC but grew up in SA.
My name is Ashley, from all the way from Limpopo.
My name is Lilo. I'm from Bumalanga.
My name is Inter from Montreal, in the Eastern Cape.
I'd like to welcome all you guys here. Look, we have a really diverse panel here, and I just don't want to single anybody out, but I want to talk more to the foreign nationals. How does it feel, emotionally, mentally, being away from home and being here? Even the xenophobic attacks, just being alone. How does that affect you?
Personally, it's been a long journey and it's been really challenging because, you know, when you grow up in a certain way with certain people, and then you just change the horizon, you just go somewhere else to an unknown place. You meet new people, you get to learn new cultures. It's a beautiful thing at first. But then there are all those challenges. You expect things to be the same, but then you get there and then not everything works out the same way. So it's been a challenge, it's been a big challenge because you grow up with your parents, with your people, and then you get here, you get to meet new people, which makes it really, really difficult. Plus this xenophobia issue. So we feel like we don't belong here. That's the main problem with us. We feel like we don't belong.
It's a great challenge, guys. For someone that knows a mama boy, it's very challenging. You come to an area where you give alone, you don't know what to do. You feel like alone, just alone. It's very, yeah.
And you know, for like someone like me, we're called the missing link because we don't really know what home is. And at the same time, this is supposed to be home now, and we're trying to relate with these new people, their new customs, their new ways. And at the same time, you don't know the old ways, so you can't fit in with those people, you can't fit in with these people. So you're just in the middle, stuck. You know, so it's kind of crazy.
And I feel like finding the midpoint here is something that's going to be quite difficult, but I wanted to look at the South African perspective as well. How does it feel being a student, or you can say anybody, but here we're students, coming from home, being away from your support structure, being away from those people? How does that affect you as a South African?
Well, I think we feel just like, the other foreign students feel, out of place, kind of afraid, because we don't know what to expect. So obviously when we go to a new place, you expect to be welcomed, you know. Of course you have to take the experiences as they come, but then it's another thing, like when you compare it to them, like we're South Africans, at least we can get here and no one is actually going to question you and where you come from. But for them, I think it's a different thing, like they will question them where they come from because of the way they look, whatever. So it's not that much of a big thing for us. We can literally adapt. Wherever we go, can be Joburg and Pretoria would be easy for us to just get them settled. Obviously, there will be new challenges, new people, new opportunities, but for them it's a different thing. Like they need to find a place, like in that environment, which is quite different.
Yeah, to add on what she's saying, like it's something else, man. Like change is a need. Yeah, well, it's something that must happen. It's not always comfortable at first, but for us, me speaking, I'm just 70 run away from home. So whenever I start losing it here, like identity crisis, getting influenced and whatnot, whether good or bad, whether like let's say I blew up my money, or like now I don't have grocery, I can quickly 70 rand come back, or even mentally if I want to relax and just away from the hustle and the Johannesburg feel, I can always go home. After going home, obviously I revisit conversations. It's always I have a safe space which is 70 rand away. I feel like it's better compared to someone who's 3 years haven't seen their mom, dad. For us, we have it better. I think.
From what you guys are saying, there's some way, somehow, a direct correlation between distance and mental abuse in some way.
There is.
Okay. And I just want to ask you guys a question quick, just for interest sake. Have you guys in any way ever experienced a form of prejudice, hate crime, for being who you are, for anything, or known anybody for anything? I just want to know about that.
The short count.
Yeah. Like, for instance, I have an experience ever since I've been here. A terrible experience. I think I've been attacked by white people like 3 times ever since I've been here. It's a white space, this side. And coming from home, I've never encountered that. But as soon as I get to a place where there's white people, then that's when I start feeling that really I'm black. You understand? And I've felt racism and been, I think, uncommon spam, I don't know, I think in the three incidents that happened, 2 of them, there was like guns involved. So the space here is
what?
Yeah, it's not comfortable, it's not that comfortable. Like I make sure that I always stick around res and campus. But as soon as you get to Vanderbilt, it's different. So there's racism here, but also in school as well, being in class and relating to different, lecturers and stuff like that. You will feel small. That's when you start feeling small. You start feeling,
Being black also is one of the challenges because I look like I'm Nigerian. I remember one of my teachers says, if there's a drug dealer in this class, it's just me. I was like, innocent, I don't even know how we do it.
It's so strange because people think that xenophobia is a thing that you can find in townships or you can find in somewhere that's rural. I mean, I come from a place where I grew up in a suburb and I still receive xenophobic attacks. I mean, there was a day, I'm walking down my street and one of our neighbors, this is a white neighborhood, mind you, one of our neighbors is black and she approaches my cousin. And a lot of foreigners can relate to me. We tend to bring our family to live with us and all that. And now this lady, she's an old black lady, by the way. I'm sure she's South African. And she approaches my cousin and she's like, are you Nigerian? And, she didn't even know how to reply. First of all, is it offensive to be Nigerian? And second of all, why is it that all Nigerians are deemed to be drug dealers, you know that? Yeah. So she came back and she was very upset. And I was just like, what? Some people will feel the way they feel because of certain prejudices that they've been exposed to, and that's not their fault at the same time. That's what we talked about where media is going through.
It is so sad when you talk about the media and stuff. When it comes to white people, when they do this xenophobic attacks and stuff, media won't show you those things. If ever it's a black person, you will see the news, it's in Joburg, Pretoria, but whenever, for instance, here in Val, you will see you have places where the white people stay. If ever you come as a black person, they will think you come to steal. Sure. We call it as a xenophobia, you understand? So now, media is playing a very a huge role in promoting xenophobia.
Can I just comment on what he said about black people coming into white neighborhoods and the white people thinking that this thing. Sometimes some of them think, okay, no, they're here to work, and at the same time, you must understand that our parents, South African parents, they grew up in an environment where blue collar was the main source of economy and work. So a lot of them are still like mentally still in that state where I have to work with labor to get my money to feed my family, and so our economy can't really go forward in their time. But this is why we have our time to, change how we think and change how we do things.
And one other thing is like being a black person is like always this aspect. Whatever that you do, even if you do a good thing, or they'll always have a way of pointing you, even if you did something wrong. Even a white person can make something a mistake. They'll always point at a black person and say, Jumizan did this, and they did this. But if it's a white person, they say no, we'll look at it.
Bro, you know what happened to me?
Can I?
Sorry, quick. Okay, sure.
I feel like it's going to be a little story, but sorry, quick.
Yeah.
I want to interject with something quick.
Sure.
And I just want to wrap up this whole mentality thing.
Okay.
And now the reason I asked you guys about hate crimes, I heard the gentleman in green explain to us about the racial crimes. Okay? I heard the gentleman in gray talk about the Nigerian crimes. Okay? And I heard the gentleman in white speak about how things were being in the suburbs and the hate crimes. Now, could you imagine? We just spoke about being away from home and the distance and having a support structure. Could you imagine experiencing the same thing, being from a foreign country that the people in South Africa are experiencing and having no support structure? Could we close up with that on this mental issue?
That sounds.
It's heavy,
I think I wouldn't be able to cope, honestly. I would have wanted to go home like first base very after I saw the attacks. I just want to go. But they stay like after all the attacks this has happened because they have a different mentality from us. Like we believe that we are so entitled to anything, and they come here with, a bigger mindset, and I think that's what we need, and I think that's why we attack them because we fail to do that for ourselves.
Not even stay because
I feel yeah, but also that, but then also like they probably stay because they really do want to pursue something. You know what I'm saying? You don't just stay in the place if you know you won't grow.
Sometimes not about staying, it's like you have to stay.
Exactly. That's why you need to stay because you believe you can do better. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, of course, being distance, being away, very miles away from home, I think it makes you vulnerable.
Yeah.
You become very vulnerable. To many things. Become vulnerable to emotionally. People could really take advantage of the fact that you are from a distance from where they are. But I'm interested on why are these people here? And perhaps that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
What brought them here? And let's unpack the history, or perhaps what the factors around them having to migrate. Because, for example, I would understand that we also have a history of migration as South Africans. I mean, we come from a recent past of apartheid. A lot of our people had to leave South Africa and go into exile, for example, for military training, but also just to find a safe space. That was the reason that they left at that time. It was during apartheid, and they were welcomed. And I think that the discussion that we must have right now is, why do we have so many Nigerians, or why do we have so many Somalians? I'm from Cape Town. I think we have over 1 million Somalians just in Cape Town. There's a town called Bellville. It's called Somalia Town, just because of how populated it is by Somalians. So I'm interested in why, perhaps, as we think about this question, what makes them to be here, and of course, the fiction, them being here, that causes in society, that it evokes from locals. Because there is a fiction for them being here, but why are they here? And perhaps we can have a broader.
Okay guys, look, I'd like to tackle the economical side first. According to the new census of South Africa for this year, there's 56 million South Africans, or people in South Africa, let's rather see that. And 4 million of those are foreign nationals. Can we really say this 4 million has such a big impact to affect the economy?
Okay, well, you know what's happening? I think the question here is around black people in particular, because when you speak about foreigners, you are imagining other African brothers. You are not thinking about white people, the Chinese. There's actually people normally say there's a city, there's a part in Joburg, Hilton, that is owned by Nigerians, but there's a part also in Joburg that is owned by Chinese, and no one is saying anything about that. And in fact, the whole of South Africa is owned by white people, by Europeans. No one is saying anything about that. So it's a question of the fact of blackness. And the violence and everything is around, the blaming is around the question of black people. It's easy to blame a black person. And it's easy to hate each other as black people. If the foreigners that are said to be foreigners, the African brothers that are said to be foreigners live here, there will still be unemployment. Black people don't have land, they don't have anything. They don't have a means of production. That's where the question is. But now it's easier to blame the black person. From here, if all those that are from Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and elsewhere live, we're still gonna find a way to blame each other here. So, okay, you're from Eastern Cape, you're from Limpopo, from somewhere. So it's a question of black people that don't have the means of production. And it's black people that are said to be foreigners in Africa. And it doesn't make sense because there's white people here, they own, actually if you go to Cape Town, you get places where a club is just white people. And no one says these are foreigners. No. So that's what I'm thinking about. So economical, it's not them. It's just the fact that all of us as black people don't own the means of production. We don't have the land.
Yeah, but also just to add, look, let's think about it this way. You know? There is what we call township economy, and I'm putting it in inverted commas. And what the question you're asking is whether or not have those foreign nationals overtaken the township economy. Spaza shops and things that normally, ordinarily, South Africans used to run themselves. But if you go to the townships now, you find Pakistanians, you find Somalians, you find what we classify as foreign nationals, which are in essence our fellow black African brothers and sisters. Now I want to speak on that to say what really collapsed the African economy, what collapsed the spaza shops, the sewing factories that our own uncles and aunts, mothers and fathers used to run. It's not the foreign nationals. I want to argue that it's government police that has killed the township economy. Also, what they did, they took malls into the townships. You know, you have instead of us going to buy a suit clothing from Umama K, there is now Pep store in Kasi, or there is Woolworths, or there is what. So it was the introduction of monopolized economy into the township. That was precisely to outcompete black people who were doing businesses in the townships. People no longer buy bread at where we know there's a local baker and they now buy bread at ShopRite. So when foreign nationals, so-called foreign nationals, came to the townships, it's not like we were stupid. They found local black people unable to run and to sustain local economy, spaza shop or township economy. Not because they were stupid or because they were lazy, but because of government programs at a macroeconomic level of not centering and empowering black industrial development, of taking what are already monopolized big players in the economy. So our people were just killed right there and there. Somalians and Pakistanians only found really a dead township economy. All they did was to use the skills that they have back home to make a living, basically. You know, as you said, these are people who have traveled miles, and when they are here, there's no immediate employment that they can get from government. So the immediate plan of action is for them to do some form of business. So that's what I wanted to also raise that.
Well, about the economy also, guys, we have to know that things are changing. Increase in technology also is a problem. We as Africans, we don't have those things that those Western people. So it comes, we want to adopt their style. It's killing us too as Africans.
Can I just say, there's a story that I was told. So basically, there's a girl that I know that her father works in Maploti, in the farm thingy, in the fields. And so what happens is the father works next door to the next door of the farmers. There's two farmers. one with South African people working there, and then there's one with what you call this, foreign people. And so those foreign people, they were like fired, all of them, because of this industrial buying one machine that can do what they used to do. So basically, what I'm trying to highlight by telling you the story is that what usually happens with the micro township economy, what happens usually is we've got those diplomas, whatnot, and that entitlement of being a South African, and then the foreign countries, nationals, what they do is they come in, and then what they do is they lesser their their compensation, like they buy their cheap labor.
Hold up.
They get exploited somehow.
I want to ask you something.
Yeah?
All you guys. Actually, the past speaker spoke about something.
Sure.
And you guys have one thing in common, right? Which I want to ask you something based on that one thing.
Yeah.
You guys all spoke about the township.
Sure.
Right? Now I want to ask you, what role is the media playing in creating this black and black violence in black settlement places? Because I hear about us speaking about the monopoly and all those things. But what role is the media playing in this? Because we're seeing attacks that aren't even here, that are from somewhere else. And we're making them from black and black places. What role is it playing?
Yeah, I can testify about what media does. I remember the day of xenophobia, I received a certain message, the attack is close to Shopville. I panicked. I was like, oh shit. Shopville where I live, if they come, I'm gone. But
it's like delivering a wrong message.
That's what it was.
Like in order for them to scare whoever the foreign brothers, or should I say African brothers, who live around, for them not to go outside, knowing that they will be attacked. Hence, those messages were all forbidden.
The problem about media, I think all of us, what we should know is that it's all about selling.
Yeah.
It's all about marketing. And that's where the issue is. Everything that is centered around profit making.
Sure.
There's distortion of facts. There's exacerbation of just simple things. Sometimes there's a small incident, they report it and they over-report it.
They put the fire.
And then the next thing, and then the more people are interested in this kind of topic, the more they release. Sure. To them, it's to make money. That's the problem, and that's where the issue is with the media.
And you know what the bad thing about this is that when the media amplifies this, it goes all over the world.
Yeah.
And our family and like family members, our parents and stuff, they hear about that and they think, okay, like we are tied up, like we can't even move. But truly, it doesn't really work like that. Also, as you say, the media just portrays all this to sell, basically. They just amplify it.
And one other thing is like we as Africans, some of Africans, we were born and raised to be followers, not to be leaders.
Yeah.
You understand? So whatever that says, you want to follow it, and which is wrong. That the concept of being a follower should stop as like now. So we should start creating like our own things that we could follow.
I think what we are all saying here is the media creates this unnecessary national panic wants everyone to be on a panic mode. That's why spaces like this are important, because these spaces allow us to get to the nitty-gritties and to have a dialogue. One thing we are cheated as ordinary people is a space where black people can think for themselves.
Sure.
We are often invited into spaces where the thinking has been done for us. All we must do, we must take what is said at face value. So this platform becomes important because it shapes public discourse and it also allows voices from the margins to say, what is happening, what's our understanding of it, and what's the root cause of it. So the media creates this panic, unnecessary national panic.
Can I just add on? But it's gonna go somewhere. I'm a poet, so being a poet, that means I need to tell people, to give them introspection, like forced introspection unto them, you understand? Like I need to spread a message, I need to raise awareness as a poet. That's my responsibility. And what we found out is that the circle of that is small. It's small because of what happens there. Like it's kind of like somehow.
Okay, guys, look, I just want to ask you guys 2 more questions, and the first one's going to be addressed to the ladies on the panel. How do you guys feel as a woman in South Africa having gender-based violence and also xenophobia at the same time? These are 2 coinciding events. How do you feel? Let's start with you, Rachel. She doesn't know.
She doesn't.
I feel like people use xenophobia as like a way to shield themselves. They be like, no, it's the foreigners that are the rapists and the whatever. But actually, it's the people. Even South Africans do it. People do bad things. Some of them are foreigners, yes, but some of them are South Africans too. We can't just say it's this one. No, we can't generalize like that. We must all take responsibilities for the things that we do. But we can't say, no, they don't do anything, because we know they do, and witnessed it myself. But then it's not all of them. There's always going to be those bad people.
I felt very unsafe for like, I don't know how many days. It really affected my mentality because, I mean, you go out to school and you come back in late hours, you don't know what could happen to you, you know what I'm saying? So, it was really scary to me, and you can't put the blame on foreign people or anyone. I think it's within us ourselves. We need to work on all of these issues that are happening, and we're just avoiding everything, and we're just reading all these articles and just like walking past it, not really working on it. So I think it's really affecting all the women around here. We're afraid now to do things that we actually have the voice and the power to. Now we've like sustained from doing that because we're afraid of what could happen,
I want to ask a question, but I want us to think of it in a bigger picture. Okay? Today we spoke about the mentality, we spoke about the media, we spoke about the finance, right? And my brother spoke about migration. Now I want to know what perspective do they have outside here? How is it affecting us to immigrate outside?
Bro, I started a stop order January because I want to travel and whatnot. So this NSFAS money was cash. Now I was like, yeah, finally I'm on travel. The first destination for me, I'm not the one to go to Paris. No, keep it African. I wanted to go to Mozambique to see Victoria Falls. And learn about the history and whatnot. I wanted to do that. The money is still there even now, stop order right now. And I was supposed to take it, I was supposed to go to January. But now, since things are like this, hey, bruh, somehow.
We saw what happened a few weeks ago with the xenophobia issue. And in a lot of countries around Africa, they actually fought back, they were fighting back. We saw in Nigeria with the ShopRite, that they went to ShopRite and then they destroyed everything. In Kinshasa as well, they went to the South African embassy. It happened there. In Zambia as well. So, I feel like in those countries, they won't welcome South African people the same way as they would. They would have before. It's not the same anymore.
So like all those things just hatred amongst black people.
Yeah. Do you know why it's black people?
I can say like a black person problem is another black person.
You know why? Maybe I think like what we as black people, we are afraid of the people who have the meat. So those who throw the bones, and it's a term of the low class. They're targeting the bones. So that's why it's black on black, because the low class feel pressure. The ones who are exploited with cheap labor also now will feel pressure. So there's bound to be conflict.
Yeah, well, what I'm trying to say.
Yes, just to add on what it's saying, I think it's hit the nail on the head. That's precisely that. This is not just, this is a black on black war. This is a war of the poor working class.
Yeah.
And unless we get an understanding of what creates the war and the conflict, then we'll never get anywhere. We'll be able to make inroads in pushing this forward. For example, as he correctly says, that there is black people in South Africa, we know that not only in South Africa but in Africa broadly, are the poor, they are outside the economy, the ownership of the economy. What they have is their labor power to sell and become workers. Yeah. But who owns the meat? Who owns the meat, as he put it?
Yeah.
White people.
Sure.
Now, what white people do, because our foreign brothers who come into South Africa, of course, out of a position of desperation,
Yes.
white people say, look, I was hiring 5 local South Africans. Here's a guy who's willing to do the work of 5 local South Africans, and at a half a price, he hires that person and he replaces the 5 people. Who is the problem there? In my view, the problem is the one who creates that conflict.
The one who hires.
But that's the problem. And that's where the war must be taken to. I loved it very much when the retaliation in Namibia and Nigeria, the first thing they did was to go straight to ShopRite, was to go straight to shops that are owned by white-owned shops and to destroy them. And that's where the war must be taken. The war must be not taken to black bodies. It must be taken to properties of white people, because those are people who create this conflict.
One more thing you guys have to understand is, when we black fight each other, they will be there. European countries like, yeah, well, you see those barbarians busy fighting each other. Why we don't? They know that they're the main reason, and they blame on us. And also one thing that I know is that this thing of being black fighting each other, so far in Africa, even in America, racism is everywhere.
And one other thing, I also asking myself, okay, why Asians from their Asian countries, continents and stuff, coming to South Africa and they're united? Take white people from Netherlands, Europe and what sort of stuff. When they come to South Africa, they're united. What about us Africans? We are not united, we are fighting for something that is not there.
It's the white people who are putting that in our minds.
No, also the problem is black men doesn't want to support another person.
Exactly.
But I'm trying to understand something.
I mean, that you gotta break down.
But I feel like they are united.
No, let me ask you.
Do you come when you come you come here and you call each other brothers all the time.
No, call each other.
I want to ask you guys something. Like, how does that affect the perspective of South Africa? That's what I'm trying to understand. Are we trying to go outside?
Let me tell you, can I tell you something? The issue here is this, is that the whole thing of saying black people are not united. They are united in what? What should unite us? That's the first thing. What should unite us? We said here that there's an issue of labor, of cheap labor, of selling of cheap labor. And black people, because they are hungry, they end up fighting for that cheap labor. And we're blaming each other. What unites us? What should unite people should be their common identity. First, their identity should be centered around ownership of land. I think then we can start saying we're uniting in business. We're saying, okay, let's unite as black people who have a business. But right now, which business do we have that will unite us if we say we have a business? Black people have tried to have businesses in their corners. When they have that business, what happens? The white person comes, they poach the business. Monopoly comes and poaches the business. So you can't unite in operation, my brother. You can't. We can't unite in operation.
Perspective, the question you asked about perspective, what I have, like, really sure. My girlfriend is South African. But every time I'm with her, I'm like, oh, one day she's going to set me alight. It's a fact, guys. I'm like, one day, yeah, she might be. And I'm being honest, guys. I'm being honest with you. I'm like, okay, what if one day it happens again? She does that to me.
So not even. There's such a cultural divide when you're dating somebody that's from another country. I mean, I'm also the same with you. I've dated lots of South African people, but then there's always this mentality that at the end, there will be things we can't connect about. But at the same time, we have to understand that first and foremost, we're black, guys. That's our main thing we share. Before ownership, anything, because when you go out there, they're not gonna be like, it's from Swaziland. They're from Namibia. Nah, they're black. You're also black. Let's go together. It's all first and foremost.
You know, one thing is that we have a very big barrier is the language. We feel more comfortable in our language. You feel more comfortable in your own local languages. So when we get to speak the same language, we don't really click, and that's a big barrier. It's a big challenge.
this is the big issue that was talked about today, and I'd like us all to quickly just conclude on it. Let's start at Tando, aka at many more.
And many more, yeah.
And many more.
And like what I'm saying is the black on black violence, man, it's very deep. It's very deep because like we're not attacking the people who like have the meat, as I said before. So I feel like we should now focus on our leaders and on our like the people who have like the opportunities and whatnot. And another thing as a black person, if I were to conclude, let's create. We need to create. We need to start creating. I know people Ekaslami, they would buy 4,000 booze. You understand? Instead of like coming together and buying a container that might, be potentially something big. So we need to start one, collaboration, two, we need to start creating and stop following.
Well, what I have to say is this black on black violence has to stop one day. We're being used. We have to know that. We're being used as black. And if this thing continues, we'll be hating each other and they will not call neo-colonizers again. That's what they want. So these guys out there,
my conclusion now, I just want to challenge everyone to say, can we think about a non-violent society in the current arrangement in South Africa? While things are like this, when people are poor, when black people don't own anything, all of them in Africa, in the entire Africa. So it's even in terms of gender and everything, it's difficult to think about a society that is without violence as we are right now. So if we fix the question of ownership, we'll be fine.
Yeah, I also want to conclude by way of highlighting the importance of the liberation of the mind. Liberate the mind, take the land. It is only when the mind is liberated will black people realize the need to take the land and take ownership of the economy and subsequently take ownership of the country. And that's why people like Obiko are people who are our struggle heroes and people who fought for liberation. They conceived of liberation as based on the mind. Think of the mind and let's liberate the mind so that society can move a step forward.
Okay, I would say that this thing is not called xenophobia, the way I say it, because it's just concerning African. I can call it Afrophobia. Yeah. See, it's just between us. Black people, let's unite and work together and have one mind.
It is a barbaric and individualized actions that we as black fight against each other for no reason apparently. We don't have land, we don't have anything to fight for. Let's have something in common so that we can unite.
I feel like we need to stop shooting ourselves in the foot because that's what we're doing. And we need to break the cycle that is happening right now. We need to start practicing what we preach, which is the Rainbow Nation. So, yeah.
What I conclude is that we as Africans should stand on one another, should help one another. Like we always say, each one teach one. Without an African brother, we are nothing. I think I would say let's all be one.
And for me, it was always disturbing how in school, as soon as we started grade 1, we got taught white heroes. Why isn't it that we got introduced to your Lumumbas, your Nelson Mandelas, and we got raised on that foundation? I mean, failing Afrikaans in high school was a big thing, but fail Zulu, it's okay. Those are issues nobody tried to look at. So in the future, let's go on strengthening ourselves and looking at ourselves as a strength instead of looking at white people as the big factor in everything.
I would like to say that black on black violence. God, why is it so easy to pick on the black person when we know the real issue is someone else? I feel like we should just, if we're going to be xenophobic, let's be xenophobic, not Afrophobic. Stop picking on the guy at the bottom because you're afraid of the one at the top. Sure.
In conclusion, I'd like to say there are two things to fix. There's pride and foundation, how you're taught at home, that these people that white man is always the top. If you wanna make it in this life, work for a white person, not a black person. And pride, that no black man wants to see a black man above him. Like always wanna be on top of the other black men.
So what I would like to say that everyone is a foreigner somehow, somewhere. So let's make this cultural exchange beautiful and positive. That's it.
Thank you all you guys for attending. I'm very happy to have a panel as great as all you guys. Thank you.